When I was at the '72 Olympics, after my years in the previous Olympics and World Championship, after I had gone through puberty, everybody thought that I was in great shape, top shape. I was 94 pounds, performing very well. Little did they know that I was fully engrossed with an eating disorder, that I was binging and purging many times a day, and that it was playing havoc with my body, including fatigue, muscle cramps, dizziness when I was standing at the end of the beam. I really don't know how I was able to perform that well. And little did I know also that this was a life-threatening disease. I thought I was invincible.
Our lives depend on thousands of different chemical reactions occurring in our bodies. Reactions that store or release energy, that build body structure, or break down food. Scientists use the term metabolism to describe the sum of all our chemical reactions. By carefully managing the body's resources, our metabolism maintains the delicate balance of chemicals we need to survive. But sometimes our own actions can throw this balance off.
When I hit puberty at the age of 15 and a half, the very thing that gave me my identity, my gymnastics, was threatened by my weight, something that was very natural, something that everybody goes through. And I was panicked. I didn't know about nutrition. I didn't understand it. We thought that the only way to lose weight was to starve yourself.
The pressures that can lead to eating disorders affect all of us, yet they seem especially strong among female athletes. At 18, Marita Stockman had been Danish national women's tennis champion for 3 years when she came to school in the United States.
I was anorexic. I was really, really thin. I didn't eat anything. But somehow I still managed to play. And I wasn't playing as well as I could, obviously, but I played pretty good. And I got a scholarship to Pepperdine. Was very lucky.
When you're very young, you're naive about competition. The only way you can go is up. And then you hit puberty, and then you've been into your career for a while, and maybe there's somebody coming up behind you and somebody a little bit better or pushing you, and you become very insecure.
The main coach, the head coach at home, he had this nickname for me. He called me Fatty, and that really got to me.
Oftentimes, someone, a parent, coach, or friend, will trigger the behavior by telling them that they're fat. Many people will go off into these obsessive-compulsive type behaviors and will do anything to be thin.
And after that, that's when I told myself, okay, I'm going to lose some weight. I'm really going to try and make myself feel better. And slowly I started to cut down on my food.
When an organism is unwilling or unable to provide chemical energy input, food, the metabolism must adjust.
Let's talk about how the human body requires energy, and then once we understand it for ourselves, we can understand it for all creatures. In the first place, we need energy to stay warm. That's heat energy. That's clear and unambiguous. We must have that. The second kind of energy we need is what I call chemical energy. We have to carry out an elaborate series of very complicated synthesis to make me, to make you. Every reaction in our body that has a synthesis involved requires energy to do. Third, we move our arms. We have mechanical energy. We do all sorts of aspects of movement and blood flow and so on, which require mechanical energy. So we have that. We have electrical energy that is involved as we transmit the nervous signals to our brain. All of that's electrical. That requires energy.
The body's very smart and doesn't want to expend energy, so it makes it even more difficult for the bulimics who participate in restrictive behavior as well, because then when they do eat, their metabolism is so slow that they often gain more weight than they would have if they were just eating normally and had normal metabolism.
My period stopped. Before I came to Pepperdine, it stopped while I was, because I lost a lot of weight drastically, you know, very quickly. And so I probably didn't have my period for 2.5 years. And I could feel when I would shower and comb my hair, you know, I lose my hair, because I mean, there was no nourishment to grow it, you know.
To discover what went wrong, we must attempt to understand body processes at the chemical level.
Now, we talked about the fact that every reaction in our body is a chemical reaction, and therefore we have to be in a position to describe accurately that reaction. And chemists do that by having chemical equations. They say A goes to B. Whether it's, you know, something like carbon dioxide plus water goes to carbonic acid, that's a chemical reaction as well, and we symbolize that.
Throughout our bodies, chemical reactions are rearranging atoms and molecules to maintain the crucial balance our metabolism demands. If the natural acidity in our blood falls, a molecule of carbon dioxide and water react to form a new compound, carbonic acid. This molecule immediately splits into a bicarbonate ion and a free hydrogen ion, what we know as acid. But this reaction rarely occurs without help from another player in this molecular exchange, the enzyme.
Every chemical reaction in the body that I know of is facilitated, is speeded up, is made to go faster by the presence of a very specific catalytic agent called an enzyme. That enzyme is, for the most part, practically in all cases, a protein, a very complicated, large molecule, and it has the property of taking molecule A, holding it, twisting it, bringing something else together with it, and then popping it out the other side, and doing so very, very quickly.
The enzyme attracts the reacting molecules or substrates to its active site, then releases the end products. Its effect is astounding. Each enzyme can assemble hundreds of thousands of new molecules every second. Eventually, so much product is created that some finds its way back. The enzyme then splits these molecules into the original substrates, in this case, carbon dioxide and water. This type of reversible reaction that can rearrange molecules in either direction seeks a natural balance. When the rate of the forward reaction equals the rate of the reverse reaction, we say the exchange has reached equilibrium. Relying on these basic laws of chemistry, the body can restore its delicate metabolic balance.
Many of the enzymes required for metabolic processes rely on additional molecules called coenzymes and cofactors, what we know as vitamins and minerals.
Coenzymes are always organic molecules, and they frequently are vitamins transformed into coenzymes. But enzymes also require other cofactors. I particularly think of the metal ions: calcium, magnesium, manganese, iron, copper, zinc. Here are a group of metal ions which are absolutely required for many enzymes to function properly. Those have to be supplied in the diet, but they're only needed in minuscule amounts.
In the hospital, they taught me how to combine the foods to get your protein, your carbohydrates, and the fat. You need the fat. You know, you don't have to eat a lot of it, but you do need it. Your body needs it to function.
In Marita's situation, she was very fortunate. She recognized that she had a problem. She was very willing to participate in the team approach, worked closely with a psychologist and nutritionist and myself, and she's doing very, very well, and she really believes in in helping other people also in this area, because she knows how difficult it can be, and she's a true success story.
Metabolism drives the activities of all living things. Though specific reactions may differ, every organism on Earth is busy converting energy and rearranging the chemicals it needs to survive. Metabolism is the fire that fuels all life, sometimes with a fire we can see. At Scripps Institute of Oceanography, Dr. Margot Haygood studies the fascinating phenomenon of bioluminescence, organically produced light.
The flashlight fish in the Red Sea were discovered by scientists during the 1967 Arab-Israeli War. They don't look like much when you see them in the light. When you turn off the light, they have a light organ under each eye that's filled with bacteria, and the bacteria make light that glows a bright greenish color that's very strong luminescence, and you can see the fish swimming around by this light from the light organ.
Many hundreds of different organisms can produce organic light. We see another example in what beachgoers call a red tide, which is actually a bloom of tiny plankton called dinoflagellates. These single-celled organisms emit brief flashes of electric blue light when agitated by waves or other organisms, creating a spectacular nighttime show. But what powers this eerie glow?
Well, bioluminescence is a metabolic reaction that is very similar to many of the reactions that are going on in our bodies every day. But because we can measure the light from bioluminescence much more sensitively than we can measure many other enzymatic reactions, it gives us a tool to study how enzymatic reactions occur.
By examining the reactions that power organic light, scientists have identified a key player in this metabolic exchange: enzymes.
Enzymes that make bioluminescence are called luciferases. So any enzyme that carries out a bioluminescent reaction is a luciferase. And these enzymes bring together the chemical substrates that are used to make the bioluminescence and transfer the energy between them.
In every glowing organism, it takes an enzyme to make the light show worth watching. When the enzyme flexes, it tugs at the existing bonds of the substrates, making them temporarily less stable. In this vulnerable state, one of the resulting products becomes excited. An atom inside is left with an electron at a higher energy level than it normally supports. When the electron falls back, it emits a photon of light.
Many, many different kinds of organisms glow, particularly in the ocean. There are little microscopic plants that glow when they're disturbed, and that's believed to be a defensive reaction. Many of the animals that live in the midwater, that's the part of the ocean that's very, very dim, use bioluminescence to eliminate their shadow from underneath. So they glow from the bottom, so a predator looking up from underneath won't see the shadow. That's called counterillumination. That's a very common way to use bioluminescence.
Some bioluminescent organisms produce this glow themselves. Others, like the flashlight fish, cultivate glowing bacteria in a relationship beneficial to both. It's important that organic light provides an advantage to the organism because there is a cost.
The bacteria use the molecules that they use for food, things like sugars. They break those molecules down, they oxidize them, they reduce other compounds in the cell, and they use that energy for bioluminescence. Bioluminescence requires oxygen, which is reduced by the reducing power of the food produced by the bacteria. So it's linked to the very basic metabolic processes in the cell.
While bioluminescence requires organisms to use energy, the process is surprisingly efficient.
Bioluminescence is sometimes referred to as cold light because most of the ways that we make light for ourselves emit a lot of heat. However, bioluminescence, the reaction is very efficient and most of the energy is released in the visible range, and so heat is not released. Bioluminescence is beautiful, particularly if you go swimming at night in water that has bioluminescent organisms, and you can see the light that's made as you move your hands through the water, and the complexity of that and how something like that could evolve is a mystery that's endlessly fascinating.
As scientists explore the mystery of metabolism, they reveal the unique processes organisms use to survive in the wild. While these chemical reactions show amazing diversity, they all share one thing in common: energy.
Okay, I have a protein shake right after an aerobics class. Usually I put non-fat milk in there and a banana and sometimes non-fat ice cream. It just keeps me going.
Well, typically I like to load up on carbohydrates that consist of pasta, spaghetti, fettuccine, things like that.
All organisms need nutrients to produce the energy that fuels their metabolism. While animals ingest foods, plants use the sun's energy to convert nutrients into starches and sugars. But to use energy in any form, all living things must follow the same book of rules: the laws of thermodynamics.
Thermodynamics refers to the movement, if you will, the dynamics of energy. How does energy ebb and flow in the universe? And the first law of thermodynamics tells us that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another form. If you eat it and you don't burn it, you will sit on it. And that's the first law of thermodynamics. Never forget it.
The second law of thermodynamics is that entropy in the universe is increasing. Entropy can be thought of as disorder, and that means that many types of processes can't go backwards. Sometimes in biological processes such as metabolism, it seems that order is increasing in the sense that you are building biological structures using the energy of food, but the catch is that energy has to be put in from outside the system in order to increase that order.
Every day, organisms must meet the challenge of obtaining energy to build structure and maintain order. This energy must be captured and controlled so it can be used for constructive purposes. Once again, enzymes play a critical role.
It's interesting to think how enzymes work in context of a very famous novel by Ray Bradbury called Fahrenheit 451. 451 degrees is the temperature at which paper burns. Paper is just a form of glucose. Glucose is what we burn. But we burn glucose at 97.5 degrees Fahrenheit. By doing so, we are also able to capture all of that energy that the burning liberates as heat. And each one of those steps along the way, from glucose to ultimately carbon dioxide and water, each step along the way is directed in a highly specific fashion, and the energy is captured and stored in a compound so we are able to conserve that energy and use it.
By linking or coupling different reactions in the cell, the body transfers energy and drives the processes of life.
I like to think of coupling like in a train of gears. That is to say, if I have one gear that meshes with another gear, I can't turn the first gear unless I can turn the second gear. That's a coupled reaction.
In some reactions, the beginning substrates hold less energy than the end products. These molecules require an energy input to drive the reaction. On the other hand, many large molecules, like those found in food, hold more energy than the end products. As the reaction proceeds, they release this energy, often as unusable heat. To avoid wasting this energy, cells link or couple the two kinds of reactions. In this way, the energy-releasing reactions help build the molecules we need to survive. Coupling drives many different metabolic processes, including those which produce the energy molecule that powers all living things.
Life is remarkable. In all of the myriad forms that we see on Earth, every cell, every living tissue, every living creature has the same mechanism to conserve energy by a process of respiration or metabolism, and then to use that energy for all of the processes that life requires. And that singular molecule is called adenosine triphosphate, ATP.
ATP is like the currency of the cell. It's like the money of the cell. It's a way to store energy and move it from one place to another in the cell. And organisms make ATP by harnessing the energy in chemical reactions and using that energy to make ATP. Then the ATP can be moved to another place in the cell, and the energy that is stored in the ATP can be used to drive another reaction that the cell wants to do.
When we think about respiration and metabolism and conservation of energy, it turns out that cells have maybe a half a dozen or so mechanisms to do this. But the most dominant theme in all living systems is the ability to use phosphate.
ATP powers the operations of our cells through its unique construction. Each ATP molecule includes a chain of phosphate groups. When one of these phosphates breaks free, the molecule rearranges and releases energy. The transfer leaves behind a smaller molecule, which we call ADP. Coupled reactions then re-energize each ADP molecule to once again form ATP, the energy currency of life.
So here is this ATP-ADP cycle taking place, generating energy as ATP, using energy, and liberating ADP again. You say, well, what's the magic? There's no magic. It's all in the chemical structure of ATP and ADP. So all of the metabolic reactions of our body, which we are using fuel to burn, the sugars, the fats, the amino acids, we're burning and saving energy in these packets of ATP. And then we turn right around and we take that ATP energy and we plug it into reactions to twitch a muscle, to drive an electrical impulse in the brain, to make a chemical molecule that the body needs. So here is this, so it's this endless cycle, recycling, 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 a tiny little amount of this molecule, but it's turning over thousands upon thousands of times in a given minute. And that way, we are regulating and controlling the use of energy in our body.
With its unique ability to transfer energy, ATP powers thousands of different metabolic reactions, all working together to support a single organism.
3, 2, face the front of the room.
When somebody asks me, do you make sense of all these tens of thousands maybe of reactions that go on? I say, yes, I see it in my mind's eye. I see it as if it were a tapestry of life itself. I see these beautiful patterns of threads of enzymic reactions. The carbohydrates going from one form of glucose to fructose to mannose to galactose and so on, all these fancy names, huh? But they're all in orderly sequence. So what I'm seeing is a fabric of life woven out of all of these threads of different colors, but fundamentally of the same stuff, the stuff of enzymes and substrates. That, to me, is the tapestry of life, and it's a tapestry woven of the threads of specific enzymatic reactions.
Each day, we see the effects of this tapestry of reactions, busily rearranging the chemicals we need to survive. In all organisms, the processes of metabolism build and sustain the complex structures of life. But this requires energy. Our metabolism unlocks the hidden power in the food we eat, power which fuels critical reactions. From the day we're born to the sunset of our lives, our metabolism burns inside us, earnestly going about the business of keeping us alive.